Hey, let's try this again, right? Shall we try this again? So, we're talking today about narcissism, antisocial, and an introvert or uh, introversion. Okay. First, understand that all of these can be interchangeable. Okay. All of them can be interchangeable. So, don't assume that because someone fits into they're an introvert that they couldn't possibly be antisocial or narcissist on top of it. Okay. So, these are all interchangeable. First, let me explain if you're new here. My name is Michelle Viva. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and it's windy out. So the internet is going in and out. I apologize. I might freeze up a few times. Apologize there. So I also wanted to tell you that the reason why I'm doing this video in particular is because I have an online community called the Sanity Soiree, and it's a group of women who come together for self-enrichment. Some of them are really stressed out. Some of them are not so stressed out and they just want to enrich. And one of them posed this question to me. So I have something called office hours. And office hours are when you inbox me in the Sanity Soiree and you have something really personal that you want to discuss that you don't want in the group. And that is where I address those questions. But I thought this was a question that was perfect for a lot of people. So here we are. Anyway, I have notes in front of me because I don't want to forget anything. Okay. So let me first specifically talk about the question that was posed to me and more of the information. Of course, like I always do, names, identities, all that is very confidential. So I want you to understand that anything that might sound like someone you know probably isn't, okay? Because it just isn't. So anyway, where do I begin with this? Okay, so she had a problem with someone that she knew, and this person really seemed to have a lot of different tendencies that seemed malignant to her at first. After we discussed it a little bit, she decided, like, maybe it's me, which I don't think it's her, by the way. And she started feeling like she couldn't really pinpoint what he was doing wrong. It's just that he wasn't fulfilling her needs. He's a definitely a different type of a person, very quirky, seems more introverted to me. Doesn't have any of the toxic stuff that, in the short conversation that I had, I didn't see anything really toxic with him or with her. I think it's just two people who she isn't getting her needs met. Okay. But let's talk about why that might be happening. And we'll talk about that in a little bit because a lot of women I know are in the same boat as she is. I was one of them. Okay. I get it. I totally get it. So let's talk first about narcissism. I have a lot of videos on narcissism. They're everywhere. They're like little cockroaches, right? Like they survive everything and they're all over the place. Narcissists are, of course, very damaged people. So I'm not saying it where, you should hate a narcissist, but I don't want you around a narcissist, okay? I want you to be really safe. And narcissists are, excuse me, I have to get comfortable on this chair. Narcissists, by their very nature, are lacking empathy and they do not really care so much about other people. When they do appear to care about other people, it's for their benefit. So they will smooth over the egos of anyone around them as long as they feel like they have the peanut gallery to honor them. They will always play to the audience that they think they're going to get energy from. So you will see a lot of narcissists who are maybe making very strong, opinionated types of behaviors, lectures, whatever, just to rile people up and just to get people sort of on their team. You'll see politicians like that, celebrities, you'll see people in the workplace like that, you'll see family members like that. With families, you're going to see a narcissist that tries to pit people against each other. Narcissists in families love to divide and conquer, and they love for the people within the family to, there's usually one scapegoat, but usually a narcissist in the family will have this dynamic where each person that they speak to, they gossip about the others two, and they want that one person that they're speaking to in the moment to feel like it's just between them two, like everything's special between them. Narcissists always feel like they have this big power. Now, I want to go quickly over the different types of personalities that I mentioned in the title of this video. And hey, Cheryl, how are you? And And just so you know, if I don't get to you right now, it's only because we have this weird wind thing. I actually had to restart this whole video over again. So if I freeze up or if I don't get to you, it's because of this weird connection that I have. But the reason why this was important is because we have narcissists and we also have antisocial individuals. Antisocial individuals, now I'm not getting into the disorders, so you can be, let me just back up. You can have narcissist traits or tendencies and not be a full-fledged narcissist. So this is the person who's annoyingly self-centered. This is the person who isn't hateful and malignant and toxic, but they're freaking annoying. Okay. They are definitely wrapped up in themselves and so forth. Then we have the antisocial. So this is not antisocial disorder where the person is highly toxic and malignant. This is, no, I can't. I'm actually in my giant computers here, so it's not worth lugging this around. Usually I just so you know, Cheryl, I do things through just pre-videotaping. So this is a live, but it's on my computer, giant screen, not lugging it. So, I mean, sometimes I use my phone, but very rarely. Anyway, so when you have antisocial, not disorder, but antisocial tendencies, this is a person who doesn't really care so much about other people, but they can be very social. So people think for some reason, and I get it, antisocial means not liking social, right? I get how that sounds. But people that are antisocial can definitely be in crowds. They don't care about being in crowds. Unlike a narcissist who likes to feed off of the energy of the crowd, the antisocial person can be in a crowd and just not care at all. Like literally, they don't care. So they tend to not have a lot of empathy, just like the narcissist doesn't have a lot of empathy. But the antisocial person is more inclined to just see what they can get from people, and they don't really care so much about people. They're not really looking to take advantage of someone, but if they do, they do. They're very like, they don't need people. They don't care what people think of them. This is also the person who might be prone to getting in trouble by the law. This is someone who thinks that, guidelines and laws don't matter to them. Like they're above all of it. A narcissist will think the same way, but a narcissist will have a more grandiose kind of feeling with it. A narcissist thinks they're better than everyone else and that they are elevated and they have special powers. Someone who is just having these antisocial tendencies, they don't think that they have special powers. They just don't care to follow rules. These are usually the people who, when they're younger, are stealing and doing things that are, definitely high risk behaviors and toxic behaviors. These are the more high risk people that just don't care. Introversion is very different. Introversion is not antisocial. You can be an introvert and have friends. You can be an introvert and like to do things. An introvert really wants their quality time. They have a high sacred feeling for quality time. And when someone is feeling that they are with someone who's more introverted, they just notice that that person tends to have a lot of hobbies and a lot of things that matter to them. They might be more of like the science person or the artsy type of person, lots of different hobbies. Introverts don't, people do. So extroverts love to get feedback and love the give and take of the energy exchange between individuals, where an introvert doesn't really need that exchange. An introvert really doesn't care as much about the opinions that people have of them, but they do care in the way of they don't want to be seen poorly, and they aren't antisocial where they don't care at all about other people. Introverts just really have a closer, usually knit set of friends and family that they talk to on a more daily basis. It's just a smaller type of intimate circle, but they might have a very wide circle of friends. They might actually have a very wide circle of individuals in their lives. Many celebrities who are not narcissists even are also very introverted. And this is unusual for people because being a celebrity who is introverted, They get to choose and pick who and when they interact with and how they're working, but they tend to be more private. Okay, so how does this react in a relationship? Now, all of these things can be to a more negative degree. Introversion, the most you're going to get with that is someone who's more of a hermit, who doesn't interact at all with anyone. But if you're with someone who has tendencies of being antisocial, they can easily slip into antisocial disorder, or someone who's more self-centered can easily slip into something that is more toxic, like narcissist personality disorder. Okay. How do you know? What does it feel like to be with these people? So I'm going to go with introversion first, because that's not a disorder at all. It's just a way people interact. And also, I want to put out there that if you are an introvert, people who are not introverts think that introverts don't like people, because what they appear is to be someone that pulls back. Introverts love people, and they often they have very deep, meaningful friendships, and they're very capable of having these friendships. However, a person who is an introvert really doesn't, they process internally. So it's not about if they are chatty, it's not about if they're outgoing. You can be an introvert and be very outgoing. You can be, and a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people think that an introvert is shy or doesn't speak or whatever. Introversion just means that they process internally as opposed to processing externally like an extrovert. You rarely will see someone who is a true this dress, or what color should I paint this room? What career, I need to make a career change, and which way should I do it? Because introverts process internally. It's not that they don't care what you have to say, it's just that they process internally. So your opinions are respected, but they usually don't seek out someone else's opinion about themselves and about where their life path is going. An extrovert will seem like someone who really wants feedback on different areas of their lives. So an extroverted friend might call you, and they might call 10 other people and even talk about it to the person in the person who's checking them out in the grocery store. They might bring up certain things such as, my daughter said she wants to go to college to be an artist. Do you think that's okay? Do you think artists make enough money? Do you think that's a good decision for her? Blah, 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 blah. So an extrovert will do that with a lot of different people because they're getting as much information and feedback to process. An introvert might research more. Okay, so an introvert might not bring it up to a lot of people, or they might just bring it up to one or two people that are in their circle. Okay, do you see what I mean by that? The introverted and extroverted processing. So what does it feel like if you are with an introvert? An introvert doesn't show affection always the same way an extrovert would, because an introvert is a little bit more of an internal processor depending on where they are in the spectrum of introversion. So you could be a little bit of introverted, or you could be a lot introverted. So if you're an extrovert and you were not shown love as a child, and it means a lot to you to have someone around you that reminds you that you're loved, okay? An introvert is going to feel like they're more cold. They're more removed from the relationship, when really they could be very much in the relationship, but the different personality types will feel like a seesaw. Okay. So for an introvert, you don't want to, press them to say like, okay, this is what I need in the relationship and I need you to be this, because that's going to make them shut down, because now they're feeling like who they are is not appropriate, that you're not affirming them. And in the kind of this path, this journey of you trying to get the love that you deserve, by attacking them, they're going to feel like they're not getting the love that they deserve. And when two people begin to put up walls, they just get more and more separate. And most breakups are not because of one particular issue. Most breakups that I have seen are because people slowly put up walls because they feel more and more vulnerable in the relationship. And when relationships heal is when the walls come down slowly. This takes maturity and vulnerability and bravery with both people. Okay. And when I say maturity, I don't mean that as a negative. I mean, there's an emotional maturity that comes with getting over your past. And we all have to go through different levels of maturity to get there. Okay. Now, an antisocial person, totally different ballgame. Okay. If you are with someone antisocial, they usually just don't care what's happening with you. They might be someone that's going, now remember, antisocial does not mean that they don't have friendships or what appears to be friendships. It does not mean that they don't like crowds. It just means they don't care about the people in the crowds and they really don't have any kind of deep relationships, including with you. So if you're with somebody that's antisocial, they might be introverted, but they could be extroverted as well. They just don't care about their environment. And because they don't care, they are more prone to steal, to cheat, and to do things that they don't care. They don't have remorse. So when they do these things, they don't care if they hurt you or anyone else. And again, it goes on a spectrum. Someone who's a little bit antisocial might think it's okay to take a pen from a store or a bank or something and not care that they did it. There's no remorse whatsoever. Or they might think that, well, if I just kiss somebody else, but I don't have sex with them all the way, then that's not really cheating. They make a lot of excuses up for their behaviors. There's actually a lot of people that tend to fall in that little gray zone of antisocial. So all of the different people who are repeat cheaters and things like that, people that steal, people that lie and manipulate other people. These are all people on a very thin spectrum of antisocial. And it really snowballs into becoming toxic as they get away with more and more and more. So if you meet someone who has a history of theft, stealing, lying, cheating, all of that, do not think that you're going to change them. They just usually see you as, I wouldn't even say as they don't see you as a challenge. They see you as just another person to lie and cheat from. Like, what do you have that they can get from you? So especially if you are a woman who is, and I'm speaking to women, women are my primary audience, and I don't mean anything sexist to the men here, but women tend to, if they are more vulnerable, or if they put on the act that they're more vulnerable because they think that this person, I should also mention, the antisocial person has that kind of distant, cold, you almost feel like you want to break through. Like, that there's somebody sweet and innocent underneath that facade. It's not a facade. Like, there's nothing going on underneath of that. So please do not think that that's going to be your project, that man. Do not do that. Because I see a lot of women that have done that as well. Antisocial often does go hand in hand with narcissism, but it can be by itself. So you can have someone who is antisocial that has no inkling of, they don't need to be seen as grandiose. They don't need for people to know who they are. They don't feel like they have special powers, but they'll steal from you in a heartbeat, okay? Or they will cheat on you in a heartbeat. Now, narcissists are the same. I should also mention that. So when you're with an antisocial person, you may feel an emotional disconnect, but you also will always feel like there's something not right. Like, you will often feel like you can't trust them. Does that make sense to you? So let me know if you've ever had that kind of feeling where you were around someone that you just kind of felt like you didn't trust. So definitely comment if you have that. That person, I'm not saying that they are an antisocial or that they were definitely not trustworthy, but go with your gut. A lot of your brain power is actually in your gut. So listen, especially right now while we're in isolation, eat healthy, get your probiotics, eat sauerkraut, like, get the gut in good condition, because the more you're stressed, the more your gut suffers. And the more your gut suffers, the more you can make bad decisions. Not kidding. So anyway, an antisocial person just doesn't care about how you feel as much. Now, an introvert is going to definitely care. Like, they're more to themselves and they have a lot of different hobbies, but they have big hearts. Like, somebody who's a healthy introvert has a very big heart and they care very much about you. Now, the antisocial doesn't really care. They might lie. They know how to manipulate and they can lie and cheat. But you will notice that the antisocial person just starts to, you see this like level of, in the beginning, they know how to fake it. Okay. So anyone who's toxic knows how to, they totally know how to fake it to get to you. Okay. Because in the toxicity world, in the malignant world, where there are malignant people amok, they need prey and you're the prey. So good people are the prey of bad people always. So if you're seeing someone who's in the beginning, if they're antisocial, they're not going to really they're not going to come into your life and go, oh, by the way, I steal and I cheat. That's not going to happen. So they're going to come into your life, like they might even say or make a big deal about, I can't stand cheaters. And, you know, they might talk a lot about their assets and the things that they have. And you might be wondering, how do they have all of these things if they don't seem to have the type of lifestyle, career, or family that would provide these things? And it's mostly because they've manipulated other people and they've cheated and they've stolen. Okay. So you have to really watch those people. Now, a narcissist is going to make you feel at first like you're on top of the world. They're going to love bomb you. I have videos on that. They're going to compliment you to no end. They're going to make you feel like you're it and nobody else understands them the way you do. And no one understands you the way they do. And oddly, this is right, because they are looking at you and mirroring everything about you, and they're really dissecting your vulnerabilities. They're dissecting so much about you. And these narcissistic people are really trying to extract whatever information that they can use, and they're kind of putting it in their back pocket, and they're going to use this to attack you. And so in the beginning, what you think is just you being open and talking for hours on the phone and like all of this like connection that you think that you have is them manipulating you. Now, of course, you can have really long conversations with somebody that's very legitimately a good person, but there's a different feel to a narcissist. When you get off the phone with a narcissist, it's like you don't want to get off the phone with them. There's no sense of boundary with the narcissist. The narcissist is never going to say, when you're in mid-sentence, wait a minute, it's 10 o'clock at night. Don't you need to go to work? Let me let you sleep. The narcissist will not do that. The narcissist wants you to be awake. The narcissist loves to see how much they can push you. How late can they keep you up? Now, they won't say this to you, but how late can they keep you up? How much energy can they get from you? Can they make you cry? Can they make you laugh really hard? Like, they want to see all of the emotions. They want to actually see, like, how can they puppet you, right? So the feeling of a narcissist in the beginning is a lot of like, they can't get enough of me. They love me. No, they're just trying to get your energy. Now it turns very quickly. So for instance, and I actually had this, I'm going to tell you something really that happened to me. One time I was really focusing on like, I'm going to start jogging. Okay. This was like probably 30, 40 years ago. I'm going to start jogging. And I started jogging. And this person that I kind of was seeing said, oh, jogging's great. I jog. Let's jog together. So you think that's normal, right? He meets up with me. He looks at my shoes and he said, they're not the right shoes. I'll take you to get good shoes. Now, my first impulse was, oh, he must know what he's doing. He's helping me because he said he jogs. But there was this weird feeling of, why aren't my shoes good enough? You know? So hold on one second. Actually, no. How can I say this without upsetting anyone? You're giving a lot of information, how to break down others versus oneself without setting angry and resentful being used. I don't understand that question enough. So if you could just dissect that a little bit more, because we're not breaking down anyone. So just give me a little bit more information. But anyway, so in that story, you know, when I'm like having this feeling of like, why is he, I felt uneasy. Why were my shoes not good enough? Because the way he said it. Now, someone who was healthy would say, oh, those are really great shoes, but I know of this one place. And if you really want to get into jogging more, you know, maybe we could both go and get our, you know, feet measured or whatever. Like, it would come across differently with somebody healthy. Okay. So if you are with someone who is very healthy, regardless of if they're an introvert or not, regardless of if they're like, you know, spending a lot of time on different hobbies and things like that, they're still going to honor you. They're still going to be emotionally connected to you. Now, with all three of these, including someone who's an extrovert, not even an introvert, you can still have someone who is emotionally disconnected. And what does emotionally disconnected mean? It just means for whatever reason, there's blocks up. And sometimes we can be emotionally disconnected if we're not trusting the other person, or if we had a bad struggle in our childhood and now we're with somebody very healthy and we don't know what to make of it. we might put walls up, and these walls can make us feel like to the other person that we are emotionally disconnected. So anytime that you're sort of cautious or whatever, you're going to have a little bit of walls up, and that's a little bit of an emotional disconnect. But if you are in a generally healthy relationship, if you don't feel that the person is out to get you, if you don't feel that the person needs to grandiose or covertly be a victim and that you are giving your energy too much. In fact, if you feel like you just want more from that person rather than fearful of that person or on edge, one really important thing to focus on is how you can get your needs met without hurting the relationship, without offending the other person. So, one thing that's really important that you can do, or I'm going to give you one really quick thing, is just, and I have a video that I'm going to edit today on this, is just mirror what you want. So, if you're someone who wants more time just sitting and interacting and having a discussion, do you really want to know more about what this other person is doing in their life? Are you interested, or do you want to share more about what you're doing? Then actually say to them, hey, 5 o'clock on Friday, let's do just a cute little mini date at 5 o'clock, make it 90 minutes. We're just going to have coffee, do something, and interact a little bit. Just make it like small bites. So, oh, hi, how are you? So when you have that kind of thing, it's really important. Now, I want to touch really quickly on what if you are with someone that you know that you are living with someone who is toxic. Okay, so now let's say I've explained all of this and you're thinking, you know what, this doesn't sound like an introvert or just someone who's a little emotionally disconnected and we need to heal things a little bit. I am living with someone or with someone or have been raised by someone who is an outright narcissist. The number one thing that I want you to know is you are so of value. The narcissist has a way of making you think that you are not valuable. You are 100% valuable. You are 100% worthy. And the narcissist wants you to believe that you're not amazing. Here's a really quick tip to know. Narcissists often go after people who have a lot of energy, have a lot of talent. And this is why you'll see a narcissist and they might say something like, oh, I want to date you. We would be a power couple, because they're looking at you as a power source. And if you are a child of someone who is a narcissist or people that are narcissists, it could be narcissists because they're just a narcissist personality disorder, or they're self-centered because they are wrapped up in their addictions or their own mental health or whatever it is, and they're not getting help. Whatever the reasons are, I don't need to care as much about why they are the way they are. And I know that a lot of people who are with a narcissist or were raised by someone who was a narcissist or toxic or malignant in some kind of way. I know that a lot of you guys, because this is why a lot of people come to this channel, like, let's figure out this other person. But the thing is, though, I want you to try to not figure out the other person. Don't care so much about why they are the way they are. Care more about how you can build yourself up and heal from their toxicity. Honestly, especially when I've had clients one-on-one in my office, let me tell you, it's heartbreaking. It's very hard as a therapist who feels for other people, has these empath qualities that we all have, that we sometimes can tap into. It's very hard to look at someone who is in pain and they think that they're this big because a narcissist who's this big has made them feel like they're nothing, when really that person in front of me is like huge, like this ball of beautiful, energetic light and love. And the narcissist or the toxic, malignant person has made them feel like this. So, oh, yeah. So your brain's filled with different situations, trying to think of family origin. Yeah, it is too much. And there's a lot of different, just think of your relationships and who you are. Experience you have, I want you to imagine it's a cog, like a art kind of a cog, just like going like a machine. And then we have this situation. Well, wait, here's a cog from childhood. And here's a cog from when you were laughed at on the playground one time. And here's a cog from an assault, maybe. So you have all of these cogs moving. And every time you add, like in a machine, every time different cog, the whole machine, all of the cogs go in a different direction. Now, every experience and every memory you have switches things back and forth. The idea is I don't care which way the cogs are going, as long as you kind of make these cogs smooth. The smoother you can go through your memories, the smoother you can go through whatever life is bringing towards you, including COVID, isolation, financial situations, dealing with a toxic person, all of these things, the smoother you can balance between them, the easier it's going to be for you to heal. So don't think in terms of, and we all have it. Listen, I was left for dead after an assault. I really was. And then I had to have life-saving surgery, which also almost left me for dead. Trust me, I carried some big baggage on that for a long time. That was when I was 20. I'm almost 53 now. In fact, my birthday's May 18th. Woo, send me a birthday card. Anyway, so I celebrate my birthday all month long. So in May, I'm going to be talking about this a lot. So anyway, when you have these different cogs and these different surfacing emotions and surfacing memories, it's super easy to feel like you're suddenly broken in some way, or that you're suddenly feeling like you don't deserve, or you feel like you're a fragment, like you are the cog. You're not that one cog. You're like, I'm not the cog of when I was assaulted. I'm not the cog of when I was left for dead. I'm not the cog of when my dad was really sick and wasn't able to give me the love that he wanted to give me because he was so sick, you know? I wasn't the cog of like the 9 months of my mom having to focus on herself as she was dying of cancer. So we have a lot, and let me bring another one. I'm not the cog of my ex-husband who was like, shh, you know? So we have all of these different types of situations in our lives, and we don't have to define ourselves by those situations. Okay. Now, you can go on to live a very happy life no matter what has happened to you. So I just brought up some different things that have happened to me. I'm happily married over 20 years now. I have 2 children. I'm a grandma, and like, I'm working in a way that I love to work. I'm interacting in my sanity soiree with women that I absolutely adore, and I'm learning more and more about. And the more I get to know them, the more I care about them. And I think that they care about me too. So it's really interesting and amazing to move past the pain and get the truth underneath of your trauma. So again, I wanted to bring up those 3 different personalities so that you can get into a place that you can understand more, like, okay, stay away from this person, stay away from this person. Okay, this person's introverted. Maybe this person's a little emotionally distant, but in general, if you're with someone who's healthy, even if they're emotionally distant, and you feel safe with this person, and you feel like you want more from them, but they make you feel good generally. They don't put you down. They don't try to manipulate you. They don't try to separate you from people or things that you love. Then you're probably in a fairly healthy relationship. So let me just read this right now. Not a narcissist, but abuses. Okay, yeah. So here's what's happening. So it sounds like if you have a parent who is someone who is okaying the abusive person, that's an enabler and a codependent. And you will feel often more rejection and more pain from the person defending the abuser than the abuser. Because with the abuser, you recognize that that person has a lot of problems, right? You recognize the pain. You already have the wall up with that person. But with the enabler, they're actually a really good-hearted person who's in a lot of pain themselves, and they're trying to keep peace constantly, and they don't know how to do it. So they will okay the abuser often. Now, I'm not saying that that person is not also abusive, but the enabler, the codependent, traditionally is someone who's not abusive, who is, well, there are indirectly abusive always, but they are not directly abusive to you, but they okay the other person. That could be the more painful relationship. So I know that some of you guys who are watching are in the sanity soiree. I want you guys to, and this is for everybody that's watching, but especially you guys in the sanity soiree. So definitely write a poem. I know this, but this will, and let me tell you why this is going to work first. Well, second, I'll tell you why it's going to work, but this is what I want you to do. I want you to write some kind of a poem. Make it a short poem, I'm a real big fan of haiku because they are actually a form of therapy way back in the day. They are a beautiful expression of who you are. They force you to be concise. Okay. So if you just kind of go very concise, try to go with a 5 syllable, 7 syllable, 5 syllable haiku. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And just about how you feel in the moment. So I was taught by Sonia Sanchez, who was an incredible artist, on how to do this. And let me tell you, I'm going to tell you why it works. But what she had us do was hold on one second. This is going to be, hold on, wiping my nose here. It's not the Rona, just allergies. So what Sonia Sanchez said to do was, she said she had us close our eyes, and she brought different kind of aromas around. So one was a cinnamon stick, and one was eucalyptus oil. And she had us with our eyes closed smelling something. And then we had to sit and meditate on it for 1 minute. And then we had to write about that smell, the aroma, and what it brought up in us. So I want you to think of anything that might be in your space. Like maybe it's the mom who's enabling the abuser. Maybe it's the ex-husband. Maybe it's something in childhood, whatever it is. Or maybe it's just this video, how you're feeling about this video. What you'll do is afterwards, you just close your eyes, wait, set your phone for 1 minute. Let it be a full minute. Don't like dive right into it. Don't take a couple of seconds and just dive. Sit with your emotion. Most people don't do this. This is where a lot of people have issues. This is where I had issues because I used to like bebop through my emotions like it was nothing. And I was really just denying them instead of sitting with them. You sit with the emotion for about a minute, then you write your haiku. I would love to see your haikus in the Sanity Soiree or below here. And so what this does and why this works is because it gets to the moment. It gets to a moment. It's not saying that whatever you come up with your haiku has to express every part of how you feel. It's just a part of how you feel. It's like healing cogs, whether it's meditation, prayer, the arts, whatever it is. The more you can bring little healing pieces to your life, that's the oil that helps all of these cogs that are a little rusty and going the wrong way and grinding and things like that. The more you can do that, it helps your brain. And another way to bring it up, another way to express how this helps you is every time you have a bad experience in your life, you grow a tree. Every time you have a good experience in your life, you grow a tree. These trees are dendrites in your brain. But every time you do something healing and self-care focused, you grow another tree. The idea is to grow more trees taller that overshadow the trees that don't really help you, don't support you. And those trees sort of dwindle away, and all you're left with is a forest of complete health and self-care and self-love, which then, if you have that, you will attract people who want this beautiful self-care person. They're not going to look at, oh, look at all this damage, and I'm going to take her energy because her energy is wide open and I can get it. You want something that is like strong, okay? And on a very personal note, you guys, I know we're all in different levels of isolation and different levels of happiness, anxiety, depression, different childhoods, different experiences in our lives. And I want you guys to know that I absolutely love you guys. And I know that sounds superficial because some of us haven't met, but some of us have met. And on a very human level, I do believe that we are all incredibly interconnected. And the more that we can honor each other and help each other, support each other, and be there for each other, which is also why I have the Sanity Soiree and why it's free, is because I want people to be able to be there for each other. Now, anyone who's watching here and who might be a little creeper coming in and not, a good person and malignant and toxic, I'm not afraid of you, and your ass will be out of there in a heartbeat. But for the good people that are here, I am going to do my best to be your activist, your emotional advocate, and your protector through the Sanity Soiree and through the videos that I offer. And I'm very, very blessed that I worked my ass off for years and years, as did my husband, so that I can offer these videos and so forth and to get to know you guys. And I just want you to know that you are worth way more than you think, okay? You are not defined by your past. You're not defined by the shit that's happened to you. And I want your immune system like boom, okay? I want you to get up and exercise. I'm going to be adding more meditation and exercise on the channel. I might even do even like a Monday to Friday meditation in the evening. I don't know. Like, you let me know if you would like that kind of thing, or if you want morning coffee or whatever you want. Like, let me know what you would like, because I think we need to stay more connected and more focused on positivity. So I'm going to have another video for you, but for now, I'm going to get going and I will talk to you really, really soon.